Hola clase, welcome back. Today in this video, we're going to talk about the preterite tense of regular verbs. Now remember, preterite is one of our two past tenses in Spanish. And even though this says regular verbs, in every textbook that I've ever had, they do include a few of what I consider irregular verbs. So if you're using the Mosaicos textbook, you can read along or use las páginas 216 hasta la página 218 to go ahead and sort of use those as reference. So 216 through 218 if you're using the Mosaicos textbook. Okay, clase, so let's get started. As I said, we have our pretérito en el imperfecto, right? And we use our preterite tense to talk about past events, actions, and conditions that are viewed as completed or ended. And this really probably means nothing to you at this point. But at some point, you will be able to distinguish when you should use the preterite and when you should use the imperfect, okay? But don't worry about that right now. So we're going to take a look at a regular AR verb, and we're going to look at the verb tomar, to take, or remember, it also means to drink, and it's used a lot more frequently than beber to talk about to drink. Okay, so just like with our present tense verbs, we are going to get rid of our AR and then attach endings. Okay, so we have haste, o, amos. Again, we don't have to worry about the vosotros ending, and then we have aron. So tomé, tomaste, tomó, tomamos, tomaron. Those are our endings that we're going to always use here, okay? Always for the preterite tense. Notice that here, en la forma yo, hay un acento, y en la forma usted, el, ella, hay un acento también, right? So we've got our accent here on the E and our accent here on the O in those two forms, okay? Now, let's take a look at our ER verbs. Comer, right? Comer means to eat. And again, we're going to start with that stem, and we're going to add a certain set of endings. So, iste, yo, imos. Don't worry about your vosotros ending. And then comieron. Notice again, the I and the yo, right, have accent marks. So this one, we have an accent mark on the I. Here, it's on the O. Now, be very careful with these particular endings because people use AR verbs so much in Spanish, and there are so many AR verbs that we use that a lot of times people will memorize those endings and forget to use the ER endings when needed, especially here, right? Since it is similar, but you do have to have your I in front of the O. Okay. So our last one is our IR verb. And we have vivir, which means to live, of course. And again, we're going to start with our stem. We're going to add I, iste, yo, imos, and ieron. So IR and ER verbs are conjugated exactly the same in the preterite. Now remember, in the present, they were pretty close. The nosotros form was different. But in the preterite, all of the forms, all of the endings are going to be exactly the same. And again, here are acentos. Okay. Now, you may have noticed something about the nosotros forms. So in the preterite tense, the nosotros form of the AR and IR verbs are the same in the preterite as in the present tense. So we had our amos and imos. Okay, this doesn't apply to the ER verbs because the ER verbs in the present were emos, E-M-O-S, and now in the preterite, they are I-M-O-S. So it just works with the AR and IR verbs in the nosotros form. And most of the time, this doesn't really cause confusion for people because the context is going to clarify the meaning. So you're going to know if you're dealing with a sentence that's in the past or a sentence that's in the present just based on some context clues. So I might say, tomamos el autobús al centro todos los días. So notice this todos los días, right? Every day. So this is something that's happening in the present tense. So we take the bus downtown every day. But if I have this word here, ayer, tomamos el autobús a la escuela ayer, right? Ayer means yesterday. So this one is the past tense. We took the bus to school yesterday. Okay. So let's look at some examples with an IR verb. We're going to use vivir. Now, again, here we have our word ahora. Vivimos en Nueva York ahora. So remember, ahora means now, which means it's present tense. We live in New York now. But we might say, vivimos en Puerto Rico el año pasado. And here is our indicator, el año pasado, which is last year. We lived in Puerto Rico last year. Okay. So just context that's going to let you know about those. Now let's talk about stem changers. So you'll remember your stem changers. We had stem changers that were AR, ER, or IR endings. So we had in every single verb type, we had stem changers. But in the case of those in the present tense that ended in AR and ER, right? Those in the present tense that had a stem change that ended in AR and ER do not have a stem change in the preterite. The IRs will, but that's something we're going to discuss later on. So here we have pensar, right? And Coco is barking, so if you hear her, sorry. So the forma yo pensé, pensaste, pensó, pensamos, and pensaron, right? No change. Pensé en ti ayer. I thought about you yesterday. Volver, volví, volviste, volvió, volvimos, volvisteis, whoops, and volvieron. And again, don't worry about the vosotros. Mi padre volvió a la casa a las 10 de la noche. My father returned home at 10 p.m. if you want to, because they do say de la noche, right? So these both had stem changes in the present tense, but they do not have a stem change in the preterite. Okay, just remember this only applies to your AR and ER verbs that had a stem change. Okay, so the top is cut off here, but any of our verbs that end in car, gar, or sar, okay, they have a change, but only in the yo form. So a lot of times students will get carried away and start changing other forms. This only happens in the yo form. All the other forms are going to be conjugated regularly. So starting with the car ones, C will change to QU, and we have our example buscar. Busqué is going to be the yo form that changes. Notice the other ones do not change, just the yo form, so don't get carried away. Busqué el programa en la tele. I look for the program on TV. Okay, our next change are those that end in gar. So we have llegar, right? And in this case, the G changes to GU, again, only in the yo form. Okay, everything else is going to be regular. Llegué, llegaste, llegó, llegamos, llegaron, right? So here's our GU. And finally, here's the example. Llegué muy contento hoy. I arrived very happy today. And finally, we have our verbs that end in sar. In this case, the Z changes to a C. And we have our verb almorzar. Almorcé, almorzaste, almorzó, almorzamos, almorzaron. And our example, almorcé poco hoy. I had little for lunch today. Might be the way that we would translate it. Okay, so students will often ask me, well, why are there these spelling changes? Why is the C changing to QU? Why is the G to GU? Why is the Z to C? It's really to maintain a certain sound. Okay, it's to maintain this sort of pronunciation that's there. Okay, that's why they do it. Okay, so here are some expressions that we often use with the preterite. It's not going to cover all of them. And you do have a list of these in the book, so you may want to look at those instead of trying to copy all of these down. So we have anoche, anteayer, ante, anoche, or antenoche, ayer, el año pasado or el mes pasado, la semana pasada, una semana atrás. And then we might say hace un día, un mes, or hace un año que. And the K got cut off here, but it does have to have a K if you're using one of these expressions. And this one is meaning it's been a day, or month, or a year since. So let's practice a little bit. Okay, so here are several sentences. What I want you to do is go ahead and pause this video because I am going to reveal what your correct answers are going to be. So what you're going to do is fill in the blank with the correct form of the preterite verb in parentheses. So it needs to be in the preterite form, so be careful. Okay, and watch out for some of those irregulars, right? But make sure if it was a card, guard, or side verb that you're only changing it, that spelling change, if it's a yo form. Okay? So pause it and work on that, and then come back and I will reveal the answers. Okay, so here are our answers. Yo tomé el autobús al supermercado esta mañana. I took the bus to the supermarket this morning. Nosotros comimos en la cafetería de la universidad. We ate in the cafeteria of the university. Now remember, this is a little different in our preterite tense. It ends in IMOS. Okay? Our next one is going to be viviste. ¿Viviste tú en Guatemala alguna vez? So we have a question. Did you live in Guatemala once? Okay. So the next one. Yo empecé a estudiar la lección 7. I began to study lesson 7. Okay, so empecé, notice our Z changed to C, and it's because it was a yo form. This verb ended in sar, and we were conjugating it to the yo form. Okay, our next one. Yo jugué al béisbol con mis amigos hoy. So I played baseball with my friends today. Notice it ended in agar, and we were conjugating it to the yo form, so G did change to GU. Okay, and our last one, yo practiqué el piano esta mañana. So I practiced the piano this morning. And remember, we've got a yo here. We've got our card. So the C changed to QU. But remember, guys, with these last three, empezar, jugar, y practicar are sar, gar, and car verbs. They only change in the yo forms. Only in the yo forms. Okay, clase, so I hope this video helped. If you have any further questions, make sure to shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Hasta luego, clase.